Hey there neighbors, welcome to Wild Homestead Living. I'm Julie.
And I'm Kevin, and this is our monthly Homestead Hangout where we bring you a glimpse into our world and what we've been up to for the past 30 days or so.
And in October, some of the highlights included being visited by our neighbor Black Bear, getting our garden ready for coming storms, moving a lot of compost, and preparing for projects to be done indoors during the winter months.
If you enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell link to be updated when new videos become available.
Let's get started. If you've been following our story for a while, you know that we've really struggled with some soil health issues. In particular, we potentially brought in poisoned mulch in the summer, but we've been doing a lot to fix the soil. And recently I came out and noticed all of these mushrooms. I wasn't sure what this meant, but Charles Dowding, who's a gardener in England, let me know that this is actually a positive sign. It's a sign of good soil health. So we hope that we're on the right track in resolving the issues. And one of the things that we're doing to solve our soil issues is bring in fresh compost. We found a supplier that guarantees a limited amount of animal inputs and that their product is heated to high temperatures. The reason that these things are important is that it means there are less likely to be herbicide and pesticide inputs in the beginning, and that anything that is present will be broken down into safer compounds. Last month we had 5 yards of compost delivered, which means that we had plenty left over from our vegetable garden to add a nice thick layer to other beds in progress. We're out here in the garden today in the sunshine, which was completely unexpected. It's still early October, and usually we wouldn't have a frost until late October, but there's a really big storm warning right now that's on its way that could bring some very low temperatures. And so we're going to go ahead and cover up our garden now in the way that you may have seen us do last winter with hoops and egg cloth. Well, there you go. We've got our garden beds tucked in under their warm blankies for whatever the weather decides to bring us. We did this last year and had great success. There were times during the winter we came out and the outside had icicles, but inside the greens were still juicy and tender. So we're hoping that that will prove true for this year. If you're interested in more about how we set these up and what we're growing, we did a video called Gardening in the Off Season that you should check out. Well, it's an exciting day here in the homestead because our garlic order arrived, and that's seed garlic. And this is garlic that we're going to plant now in the fall, and it's going to grow a little bit and then go dormant and grow again in the spring, and hopefully we'll be able to harvest it in June. This is our very first time growing garlic, but we've heard it's really easy to do. And we've got 2 varieties. This one is called Dugansky. It is a hardneck garlic, which my understanding is that the cloves are a little bit bigger, but it doesn't store quite as long. And then this Susanville, which is a little bit smaller cloves, but lasts a really long time. And if you've ever seen braids of garlic or wreaths, I think it's usually this one. All right, here's our Susanville. This is the soft neck, and it's gonna go in this bed along with spinach. And you can probably see the checker mark. We're using square foot style gardening, and I'm gonna do 9 cloves per square foot. So 3 across and 3 down.
As is expected in the fall, wildlife activity slowed down quite a bit on the homestead in October. We did see a lot of activity in the sky above the property though, as migratory birds continued to make their way south. In fact, on a visit to town, we saw this in dramatic fashion as thousands of snow geese took to the air overhead. These birds spend the winter in the farm fields around us, and they are pretty amazing to see when they all get airborne at once. Just in time for Halloween, we had our usual spider bloom in October. There aren't really more of them at this time of year than there are at other times of year. It's just that they've grown to a size that they're very noticeable right now, especially the European cross spiders, which are the most common orb weaver that we have in our area. Some of the spiders on our homestead have reached impressive size, but they are by no means the largest predators that we've seen in the past month. We once again had a black bear show up on both our cam in the woods and our camera up closer to the house, and he apparently visited more than once. So we just did like a perimeter walk around the garden just to check everything out and found something kind of exciting. About 10 or 11 days ago, we saw a bear on our trail cams again. A week before that, we had seen him. I haven't checked the trail cams yet today, but I have a feeling we're going to see a bear yet again based on what we found. And yes, once again, it's poop. You might have come to expect this after watching past videos. But the bear has been here again. He's left his calling card. Looks like he's been eating a lot of apples this time. Just another reminder, our trail cams are a good way to monitor the property, but animals leave tracks and sign and leave their mark in all kinds of ways. As their fall breeding season approached, deer were active both on and off the homestead during October. Julie helped escort these 4 deer to safety on a nearby road, hoping that they could avoid the same fate as this unfortunate doe that wasn't quite as lucky. The trail cam we have monitoring this wooded section of our property picked up a number of the usual suspects in October, including an eastern cottontail that seems to have made this general area its home. We also saw what we believe is the same large possum that has been coming through periodically, in addition to a smaller one that seems new to the area. We also saw deer and a coyote or 2. The coyotes were also picked up on the camera that we have up by the garden. They are much rarer sights up by the house. The deer we see on a regular basis on that camera. They seem to be much more comfortable with our presence. You may recall last spring we put out some of our cat's fur so birds and other animals could use it as nesting material. We did some updates where we showed birds using it. We had a northern flying squirrel that regularly visited it, a Douglas squirrel. A raccoon at one point took an interest, although I don't think it was because it was interested in lining a nest. At any rate, we kept that fur out throughout the summer, and now many months later, it's completely gone. So the animals really did take advantage of it. It worked out just as we'd hoped. We're going to be doing that again next year, putting out more of the cat's fur so the animals can benefit from this resource in the coming breeding season as well. As fall progresses into winter, this area is going to become a lot more open as all of these leaves fall and expose this area a bit more to the surroundings. We're curious to see how that's going to change the animals that use this trail, but we'll keep you updated and let you know what happens in future installments of the Homestead Hangout.
So this month we started to transition from our outdoor projects to our indoor projects because the weather is starting to get wet and dark and cold. And the late fall and the early winter and really actually into the early spring around here is when I often do a lot of sewing and crafting. So this month I took stock of my fabric cupboard, which is a little bit chaotic, but that's okay. There's lots of fun possibilities in here. I decided to go ahead and place an order with my favorite company called Big Duck Canvas and get some samples and some new fabrics for some wax canvas projects I have in the works. So stay tuned to see what we come up with. Over the summer, you may recall in one of our previous homestead hangouts we mentioned that we are going to have our siding replaced. Now this was a heartbreaking reality to learn because we thought we might just have to have a few boards changed out and repaint the house, but the damage was far more than we expected. Now this is not uncommon in homesteading. Often unforeseen issues come up, but one of the things we've learned is to do things right the first time and to make it a priority to be financially responsible. What that means for us is we're having to put on hold some of our other fun projects like a chicken coop and greenhouse in order to make sure the siding gets done right for us and future generations to come. However, that doesn't mean it has to be sad all the way through. We decided to embrace the opportunity for yet another chance to turn our 1990s builder grade special into more of the 1890s farmhouse that we wish we could afford. And one of the things we've done is decided to get new lights for the outside. And we went with some barn lights. And this is what they are going to look like. They are very similar to the barn lights that you can find in historic barns all over our valley. So we've got these that are going to be hung from our front porch, and then we've got two that are going to be on goosenecks on the outside near our garage. So stay tuned for our farmhouse exterior makeover in coming months. This month, Emmett and I started a big batch of fire cider. It's an old folk remedy that was made famous by renowned herbalist Rosemary Gladstar. And the liquid that you see in this jar is raw apple cider vinegar, and in it are chopped up ingredients like horseradish and onions and garlic and onions and turmeric. And I soak this for a few weeks, and you can see it's already starting to change a bit of color in the apple cider. And then we strain it off. And we are not medical professionals, and we don't play them on YouTube, but we've found that this is a really delicious brew that's also good for boosting the immune system. And we'll add the infused vinegar into salad dressings and have it in sparkling water or even as a straight shot. It's a really nice thing to carry us through the winter months. In October, I and Opal spent a lot of time sitting right here at our computer. Over the summer, I got really curious about the history of homesteading, and I started researching it, and I had no idea the fascinating world that I would discover there. But I pulled together some interesting bits and written an article called Digging Down to Our Roots, and it's available on our website, and I would love for you to read it and share your thoughts about it with us.
So there you have it. That should give you a good idea of what we've been up to here in October.
And we would love for you to become one of our neighbors. It's free and easy. All you have to do is go to our website, which is wildhomesteadliving.com. Sign up for our newsletter. We send free, exclusive content to our community that way.
Thanks so much for joining us.
We'll see you next time. This month, I started a big batch of fire cider. It is something that Emmett doesn't like, but he loves to hang out with us. Buddy. What it is you step aside. Thank you.